how's it going everyone, and Skyline, and welcome to my channel. So it's another Tuesday and another reset to look forward to. So let's have a butchers on what's happening this week. But before we do, there's been a tweet from Destiny Tracker that in the next few weeks, in the month of February, yep, we're nearly in February, we will have moments of triumph to look forward to, including a new quest called Wish, and we'll have a progression story to this quest each week. So, what is the Moments of Triumph event 2024? So, basically, it's a limited time title / seals that provide a whole host of difficult challenges. So, the titles requires you to complete 28 out of the 30 total feats of strength in order to claim these unique rewards. So, lots to look forward to in February and Valentine's Day. So, moving back to this week in Destiny, we have bonus rank rewards with the Drifter himself and its Gambit. So, if you're wanting to reset your ranks for the seal or even farming for the perfect god roll. Also this week we have the weekly rotator mission, and it's Presage, home of the Dead Man's Tale exotic scout rifle that is now also craftable and comes with different perks. Also the mission has some amazing legendary weapons, but more about the mission later in the video. And moving on, we have this week's legendary dungeon is the amazing Duality. This dungeon's exotic sword is called the Heart Shadow, and the dungeon also has some amazing weapons to farm. So moving on swiftly to the Grandmaster section for this week. So what is the Grandmaster that we've got to look forward to? And it is Birthplace of the Vile. And I know people are going to go, it's horrible. But it's not one of the hardest Grandmasters, and it is definitely not one of the easiest, but with the right build and the right strat, this is definitely achievable. And the weapon featured this week is the Adept Arc Fusion Rifle, the Loaded Question. So moving on, we have this week's Days of Eternity, and the final boss will be Crota. So if you're still wanting seasonal weapons from Season of the Splicer, I think that's actually going back to Season 14, so it's going back some time. They've got some really good weapons, legendary weapons like the Chroma Rush Auto Rifle. Go and see Xur in his treasure room, and not forgetting the Star Horse, but check that you may need a DLC expansion to be able to do this. Alright, moving on, we have the weekly raid on rotation, and that is on the Dreaming City, and yes, you have guessed it, it's one of the older raids and it is Last Wish. And the exotic that drops in there is the amazing 1000 Voices Solar Fusion Rifle. But not forgetting, guys, the legendary weapons are fully craftable in there, but I'll be talking about that later on in the video. Moving on is Master Crota, and this week's challenge is at the bridge, and it's called the Precarious Balance. It's another easy adept weapon to claim this week, because the challenge is super easy. So let's jump in for the full breakdown for the week in Destiny 2. But before we do, if you enjoy my content, please hit those buttons. This helps me so much. I'm still new to content creating and enjoying so much. And please comment what you'd like to see on your channel. So let's put the pedal to the metal, hit the nitrous switch, and let's zoom into the full breakdown of Destiny this week. So, the weekly rotator exotic mission is Presage. It's a fun dungeon with lots of parkour. The mission requires you to find switches that open hidden compartments that contains orbs that need to be shot. To acquire a buff, the buff will allow you, but with limited time, to get through a lethal barrier door. If you run out of the buff, the door will instantly kill you. Once you have navigated through all the different sections and have finally reached the final boss, to initiate DPS phase, you need to switch on the 3 main switches and drop down below and do as much damage as possible before he sets the floor on fire, and it will be rinse and repeat. The boss actually drops the exotic scout rifle, Dead Man's Tail, and on completion of the first mission is required to unlock the pattern, and weapon becomes craftable with a few different perks. Also, the mission has some amazing meta weapons that is also fully craftable once you have unlocked the pattern for that weapon. Here is a table below that shows the best weapons that I personally love. So in the top row has mainly been used in PvP. We've got the beloved sniper top left, top middle is the Austringer primary hand cannon, and top right is the Drang sidearm in solar, but that could actually become very popular this season with sidearm and obviously solar being meta also. In the middle to the left we have the amazing Callus Minotaur. This is the number 1 that I would actually farm. It rolls with incandescent and it's an absolute god. In the middle at the bottom is the Hollow Denial. It's a Void Trace Rifle, which is also an amazing PvE weapon. Middle right is a Stasis rocket launcher called Bump in the Night. And left bottom is a primary shotgun called the Remorse. And then we've got the Arc Glaive on the bottom right. So you've got all week to farm this dungeon, so don't miss out on any of the patterns for these amazing weapons. Also, we have the legendary dungeon that is on rotation this week, and it's the Duality dungeon. It's awesome with lots of parkour. So I suggest getting that Eager's Edge out on the ready and a can of Red Bull for some wings. The dungeon hosts at least 3 checkpoints to work your way to the final boss. The dungeon has some amazing mechanics and drops some very nice legendary weapons. Plus the last boss has the chance to drop the Void exotic sword called the Heart Shadow. Check the Triumph requirements before. This can actually increase your drop chance as well. And not forgetting, the dungeon also has a legendary mode that is obviously harder, but the rewards are a chance of a piece of artificing armor that gives you the extra mod slot to help you with those triple 100 juicy stat rolls. Okay, up next is this week's Grandmaster, and it is the dreaded birthplace of the Vile. No, don't worry guys, it's not that bad. The boss room is challenging, to be honest, but if you have a good build for survivability, you'll have no issues in there whatsoever. The champions are Overload and Unstoppable. It's Void Threat and has Arc, Solar and Void shields. There is lots of snipers and Solar Strand surges, plus increased overcharge damage on fusion rifles. The adept weapon is, of course, the Arc fusion rifle called the Loaded Question that comes with amazing perks. On to my favourite section now, and this is the rotation weekly raid, and that is on the Dreaming City, and it's the Last Wish. Lots of fun and lots of different mechanics to work your way to the final checkpoint. On completion, the chest room has lots of chests to choose from. It is also farmable to get the keys so that you can open more chests, but you have the chance to get the exotic heavy fusion rifle, and that is the 1000 voices. Also, the raid has some meta weapons that are fully craftable, and there is lots of LFG groups that are currently cheesing the first boss, and this takes less than 5 minutes to complete to get the chance of a red border to drop. So this is currently the quickest way to do a red border farm to unlock those juicy patterns. So there is also, I've made a nice table of all the challenges that are available in each checkpoint of the raid, so that you can get the extra loot that drops on completion of the challenge, or if you're actually just doing the challenges to complete the Last Wish seal. Alright, moving on to my favourite part again, and this is the weekly Master Quota challenge. And this is at the second checkpoint of the raid, and this is known as the bridge. The challenge is called the Precarious Balance. So that is basically all you need to do is just make sure that nobody sets foot on that bridge while it is fully built. Just do what you normally do each week, get everybody enlightened, and the first two that go across, which is the sword and chalice, they stand on the center plate, nobody else stand on it, and when they're ready they'll run across. The bridge will start to despawn as they're going across, and once they're across they can communicate with their teammate to then jump onto the plate. And it's just rinse and repeat to everybody who's across. Just for a bit of survivability, you could run a banner of war or a well, so that would be the sword person going across, and then for the person that is carrying the chalice, they can then run tractor cannon so that they can debuff the sword bearers that are coming out that the rest of the team need to kill because they are super tanky. So this is the end of the news for this week. Thank you for joining me. If you could please hit those buttons below and make any comments, I would really appreciate it, and have a great week. Laters.